He's the man, he's the myth, he's the legend, he's the scientist with all the answers and all the questions. It's time for another episode of Alex's Science Corner. Oh yeah, we're doing science. Alex, what is going on in the wide, wide world of science, my friend?
More millennials are having strokes. The CDC has just completed a study for a 10-year period and found that the number of strokes for people in the 18 to 34...
18 to 34? Wow. Holy cow.
Wow.
Jumped by a lot in the past 10 years.
Good. I was going to ask what age group that was. I'm glad it's not me.
Yeah, we're above that.
Well, I've got 2 kids in that age group.
So is it because they're continually looking at devices?
Or are they eating too much sodium?
That sounds so motherly.
Yes. No, the reason is they suspect it's because there's a lot less exercising going on, that they're eating not as healthy as they should, and those are the 2 kind of things that they're guessing may be affecting it. A lot less activity is probably one of the bigger things that is affecting people this age group. But there's been a major rise all across the country in the number of strokes for people that age group. And one of the things about a stroke is once you have a stroke, you have a strong indicator that you're probably going to have another stroke. So if the first one doesn't kill you, the second one probably will.
Oh man, that's
No, I mean it's not a fun thing, but if you have one stroke, you're more likely to have a second stroke early on in life, and it also, depending on how bad it is, you can get severely impaired from it.
There was a New England Patriots linebacker who had a stroke at like 33 or 32, remember?
What's his name?
Big time player,
yeah,
too. He took a whole year off and came back.
He came back, and he was actually good. Wow.
I can't remember his name, though.
He's a analyst now.
Now, yeah.
But he came back and played, and actually, I think he won comeback player
of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, what stroke is there's blood flow either gets cut or blood vessels get damaged in your brain, and then your brain starts losing blood, so it loses oxygen, so parts of the brain start to die. And if you're caught early enough, they can prevent a lot of damage or heal a lot of damage, but if you're not treated or don't...
When you say caught early enough, when in the throes of having the stroke,
Yeah,
if they catch you as soon as you get the signs of having the
as
stroke.
fast as they can get you in and get things resolved, that will minimize the damage. And then depending on the therapy and what it is, they do have therapies that'll let you get over it. But the longer you wait to get the treatment, the longer you wait to do the therapy after the stroke, the more permanent the damage is going to be.
Well, don't go to some hospitals when you have a stroke.
So,
Well, at a certain point, it's just going to be whatever you get to the hospital you can get to. As a side note, or as a related note, the second story is about they are now doing they're now able to find some chemical markers that define some of the cognitive damage that indicate a stroke. The way doctors had to figure out what the stroke did to you was you had to sit down with a neurologist for a few hours as they went through a battery of tests to try and figure out what the stroke did to you. Now they've got chemical markers that they don't have to sit down and wait for you to be, just relaxed and helping the doctor out. They can at least figure out some of the stuff through these chemical markers.
Is it like a dye test? They inject you with a dye and
blood test. They take
okay.
And they see if the chemical markers are there, and that can help define some of the damage that was done to you. So the neurologist doesn't have to sit with you for as long. You don't have to be there sitting with the neurologist, because one of the challenges, unfortunately, is some people, depending on the severity of the stroke, are unable to talk to a neurologist. So it's harder for the neurologist to try and figure out, to find the limits of what the damage was. I mean, at that point, it probably is pretty severe.
The Patriots player was Teddy Bruschi.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Teddy Bruschi, who's now is an analyst for one of the major networks. Just clicked in my head. Sorry. I know Darnell was trying to think of it too.
Yeah,
So.
it was killing me.
That's your excuse, and you're sticking to it.
Can we get back to those
No, that's the
markers
truth.
again? So are they doing this blood test on these millennials?
You're only allowed one question, Bobby.
No, they're not doing the blood test on the millennials per se. The reason is because, first off, the first story was about the fact that there's been a rise in stroke. The second story is an independent story that these researchers have found that there are certain blood chemical markers in the blood
Could it be
that
from-
indicate some limits of the damage.
Could it be from trying to catch Pokemon all day?
You know what? Strange enough, there's that
It
possibility.
wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't surprise me.
The challenge, of course, if you're doing it because you're sitting at your chair and the only part of activity you're doing is your thumb movement, yeah, that can act because you're not being active, and so that can definitely increase the possibility of a stroke. All these things it's like smoking. Smoking does not guarantee you're going to get lung cancer, but smoking does increase the chances significantly of you getting lung cancer. There are certain things that increase the chances of things happening. Lack of activity increases the chance of a stroke. It doesn't mean you're going to get a stroke if you just sit and do nothing, like radio announcers at a college radio station.
Eating scones and brownies,
Yeah.
drinking coffee with cream and sugar.
But the scones and brownies are all made with organic flour and butter.
Big whoop.
Yeah.
And walnuts.
All right. So again, the good news is that they still have to get in and see if they can do this clinically on a regular basis, because they found these markers and they know they indicate, but they're still trying to define it and see if they can get into an actual hospital setting where they can do this on a regular
I
basis.
thought the good news was we're not in that age group.
Yeah, it is good news as far as I'm concerned.
Boy, all you kids out there are in trouble.
All right, let's
Get
go.
out and go for a walk.
Let's go to the next one.
All right, so the last story right now.
Third one? Oh, sorry.
Yes.
I never.
No more questions. You already had yours.
All right, so the last one is about a lizard fossil that was found. Now, this is not a dinosaur. It is a lizard, and it's from 241 million years ago. This lizard is the earliest fossil that they found that is a land-living animal. Before this, they thought that the fossils, the animals were still like fish or amphibians at best. But this is the earliest fossil that they found that's a pure land-living animal. And one of the things about this is the second fossil of this particular creature that they found. The first fossil that they found was so badly damaged that they were guessing that it was probably amphibian. But the second fossil that they found is one of the most preserved fossils that they found from this time period even. And because of the bone structure, they can definitely say that it was a land-living lizard. So this is the earliest fossil. And in the YouTube video, I will have a picture of it. So when I do post the video for this
Yeah, why don't you
episode-
give props to your YouTube
Yes, I
endeavor.
do. Oh, yeah, and because if you're listening on my YouTube video, you know about the channel already. But for those that don't, I do have a YouTube channel for Alex's Science Corner. And it's the episode of the show plus some occasional pictures or related images to go along with what we're talking about.
Now, how do they actually know that this thing was just a living lizard?
The bone structure around they can tell the difference between how an amphibian walks and swims and land creatures. For example, an amphibian lizard would have to have the tail would have to be able to move so that it could propel itself through the water with the tail, or the legs would have to be finned and be able to propel it through the water. This creature or this lizard does not have those structures. It has structures that are made for standing up on land.
What about like the rib cage around where the lungs would be, as opposed to?
There's that I can say. What they're mostly talking about is the legs and the tail.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Alex. If you have any questions about these stories or anything else science related, feel free to call Alex right now at the station at 203
837
99.
2-4.